In our time, if a school's standardized test scores are high, people think the teachers are effective. However, if the test scores are low, people see the teachers as ineffective. Either way, the educational quality of a student is being measured in the wrong way. A standardized test is any examination that's administered and scored in a predetermined standard manner. Teachers have to follow a teaching to the test curriculum. If there is valuable and useful information that can be taught but isn't on the test, it will be forgotten. Kids only learn what they will be tested on and nothing more. Why are some students better test takers than others? The reason some kids are so much better at taking tests is because they have more confidence. The ones who tend to do worse are more anxious and fearful about failing. Educational quality is being measured by the wrong yardstick. Those evaluations are apt to be in error. Employing standardized achievement tests to a certain educational quality is like measuring temperature with a tablespoon. Tablespoons have a different measurement mission than indicating how hot or cold something is. With standardized testing, are we really measuring how smart a student is or how much capability they have?
I really don't think so. I think it's just a way of just testing things, seeing where the kids end up at. And I just don't think there's too many tests to start with.
Secretary of Education Arne Duncan stated state assessments in mathematics and English often fail to capture the full spectrum of what students know and can do. Students, parents, and educators know there is much more to a sound education than picking the right answer on a multiple choice question. Standardized tests don't allow for freedom of expression, which is why many people opt for open-minded tests. So what purpose do these tests have?
Supposedly to find out what you know, what the student knows. But that's, the student can have a bad day, other things can happen, so,
So she's one per group, and the tests don't really, a lot of times they don't really test what they know. It's just they memorize the test like a few weeks, a few days before, but they don't really learn it. They just memorize it until the test comes, and then afterwards they forget it. And I think that's useless knowledge.
Well, I don't know, what's the purpose of these tests? I think it's just to just to get students through the system instead of actually teaching them something important or value, because it's just repetition. You just have to sometimes relearn what you learned last year because you didn't retain that information, and they don't teach it in the right way. They're just trying to get people through high school and into college, but it's not useful.
The purpose of these tests are to belittle us and to make us very self-aware of how little we know.
That standardized testing gives the students the urge to want to pass, not to learn. Because they know if they pass that test, that's all they need to do. So when it comes down to it, I assure you, if a teacher says once, "Oh, do we need to know this for the test?" and the teacher says, "It's not going to be on the test, but you didn't know it," I assure you, everyone's just going to.
What are students willing to do to pass the test?
Okay, now here's the thing on that. That same idea drives grades. So should we get rid of grades? Because students want the grade, they don't want the knowledge. So if we're going to think about that, then we also need to get rid of the grade system because the students need to believe in knowledge and not grades. But then a lot of students aren't driven by the knowledge.
See, and I can agree with you on that. That the knowledge isn't enough to get them far enough to learn. But I'm just saying, the standardized testing, though it adds some, it's just kind of adding some gasoline to the fire. I agree with grades. The students are always going to want to strive for the grade more. Well, at least
Some students.
yes, some students. But for the students that are actually, let's just say, if they really start to stress out, they're just going to do whatever it takes to pass that test. And that can go into, cheating, that can go into a lot of stuff. Without the test though, if it was just the grades and the teacher could focus on what they wanted to teach rather than a standardized test, then it could become like the AP. I agree, the AP works because it tells you what you need to know, they have examples, and you need to learn that. But like for something like the STAR where it's almost sporadic of what they put on it, and they say, this year we're gonna have this on it, and the teacher's like, oh, I haven't taught this before. Then they instead, now their whole lesson plans are gonna have to change up from what they did the previous year because they just need to make sure that the students pass and they make the school rather than get the students learning. Multiple comments, especially like last year, the comments that I had heard were students that say either one of two things. They either say, one, wow, I knew nothing on that test, but it was still easy. What was that about? And two, wow, I knew nothing on that test. I bombed it. Oh, literally, there was not one person that I heard say, I knew I learned the knowledge from that. Which is why I think if you're gonna have a standardized test, at least get it up to level. AP, everyone needs to work towards that. For something like STAR, like in all honesty, if you have someone in the lower ranks and someone in the higher ranks, someone in the higher ranks isn't going to stress out as much about the lower person, because the lower person is going to be freaking out not about what they learned, but about just passing their grade. While the higher up students are just going to be like, I got this, I don't need to. And already there's that split in knowledge. Where by making this standardized test, they're kind of forcing this split into knowledge where you have the people that have it and you have the people that don't. Well, instead, for something like the AP test, everyone needs to kind of travel in a group. Like how you teach, when you ask multiple people certain things, that works because it's, let's see if everyone's on the same level. But for something like the STAR, you can't afford to really go back for them. You just have to hope that they catch up.
It's hard to word this correctly, okay? Because I am a teacher and I don't want to rat out any of my other teachers. I don't like the idea of grades or standardized tests. Okay, but here's the thing. There's a lot of other teachers, people in my profession, that if there wasn't a goal or something to challenge them, that they have to have their students pass at the end, what you'd be doing every day is watching YouTube videos and reading memes about stupid things that are on the internet.
I think we do that anyways. We do that either way.
See, but the fact that it's the students that do that, like on the teacher's half, I don't mean to twist your words around, but from what I got from that, it's standardized tests are more to point the teachers in the right direction.
Yes, I think so. I think third graders and fourth graders shouldn't be tested. In fact, I don't think fifth graders should be tested either.
Okay. I think that tests are being given to children who are too young because you hear children going, I'm stressed, I'm so nervous, and kids that age shouldn't really be stressed at that young age.
Yes, I think tests are given to children that are too young. I think that no one knows, like, oh yeah, this is a test. If I fail it, I can't go on to the next grade. Like, they're too little. They're only like 9 or 8, some of them. It's ridiculous.
before taking a test, I feel stressed out, nervous. A lot of people, they could get A's, straight A's in class, but when they take a test, they completely fail it because of anxiety and being nervous. And I think that nerves do get the best of me and most people who take tests. And I don't think that passing classes should be based on whether you're a good test taker or not. It should be based on your actual knowledge.
Yes, myself, I get like anxiety. I feel like I'm gonna have panic attacks, and I hate it. And my nerves do get the best of me.
Why?
Because I second guess everything on the test, and then it's like, oh my god, I can't breathe. I need to take a break, but then it's like I can't take a break because the freaking test is timed. I just freak out, and then I freak myself out from my own.
Right before you take the start test. Why?
Well, it's the state of Texas, and if you don't pass,